Hi guys! So today I'm gonna do a story time because there's been a forum style page of people sharing the experience of working with influencers. So there were a couple of posts about me. There was some negative, some positive, but I'm here to address the negative ones. So I've since acknowledged it on their platforms, but I just want to, on my end, give you better context and to share more details that the post may have missed because I don't feel like they accurately reflect what actually happened. I didn't know about the post until someone had sent it to me, and the first time I saw it, I was taken aback and then immediately frustrated. Not only because I didn't expect to see it, but because it was so twisted and there were details that were very important that were omitted, so it really painted a very bad picture of me, and I was like, Yuan Wang, oh my god. So I wanted to come on here and share with you my perspective of the story and also give you better insights into how these campaigns work because everything is behind the scenes. I got my receipts, I got my screenshots. I'll be showing them on the screen as well, but I'll be reading from my phone. Buckle up, okay? Grab a snack, grab some tea before I spill even more. So let's just go. Okay, huge disclaimer. Please watch the entirety of this video. I know it's gonna be long, but I promise you it's worth it. This is a very complicated matter with a lot of different perspectives to it, so I want to be sure to address everything, so please give me the time to do so, okay? Don't assume anything, don't comment, don't harass or involve any brands or individuals or companies involved. Don't go on a witch hunt, don't try to find out who these people are because that's not important. I'm just here to share my side of the story and to bring up problems and habits that I've already seen for a really long time, and this is the perfect opportunity to talk about it. As juicy and dramatic as this may be, I hope you guys can respect my wishes and just understand where I'm coming from. Okay, let's start. Wordweed. I mean, it's obvious there's me, okay? She either has very poor time management or simply does not have what it takes to be an influencer full-time. My experience dealing with her was so painful. Kept complaining about the brief, which was nothing out of the ordinary, just a regular photo, submitting drafts that looked like they were chosen with her eyes closed. She needs to get off her high horse and understand the reality of the industry. So this was the first one that I saw, and I did have a hard time identifying this person even though she didn't give explicit details. She was the only person that I hadn't worked with before, and it was so memorable. The interaction was as painful for me as it was for her. So let's call this person A for now. And FYI, I didn't censor anything else except for the information that can be used to identify her, the company she works for, and the brand that she was managing. All of our correspondence for the other post later as well, it's in a team. Other people have been CC'd in it, so a lot of people have access to these emails, so anyone can just verify and make sure that I'm telling the truth. So okay, context. A sent me an email on 2nd March to work with me on a campaign. She gave me deliverables, she gave me the mechanics, the message, everything, very standard, so I just gave my standard reply. Hey A, thanks for reaching out. I'm definitely interested. I do charge for social media posts though, so let me know if you're keen to discuss my rates. And she said, hi Brenda, thanks for your interest. Unfortunately, we don't have the budget for this campaign and we would like to seek your support on social media postings in exchange for a barter trade with the products. Do let us know if this is possible. Hope to hear a favorable reply from you. Thank you. Barter trades, for anyone who isn't familiar, just means that there is no money involved. I give you product, you give me posts. That's it. So I replied, hey, do you have the list of products for me to consider? Cheers, Brenda. Hi Brenda, the products are the latest K-beauty products and will only have the information by the end of this week. Do let us know if you're keen. I said, hey, am I able to confirm with you once the list of products are available to me? Since this is a barter, I'd like to know what I'm bartering for. Hope you understand. Thanks. Hi Brenda, sure thing, we'll try to get back to you by the end of the week. And then she got back to me the next day. Hi Brenda, the product brands you're likely to get are so and so. However, these brands mentioned may not be exactly what you get, but you can get a rough gauge of the brands we have. Do let us know if you'd like to come on board this campaign by tomorrow, please. Thank you. So the brands that she mentioned were not K-beauty. So I said, I thought you mentioned the products would be K-beauty. Let me confirm with you by tonight. And then she said, hi Brenda, apologies for the confusion. The product should be derma products, not K-beauty, similar to what was stated in the first email sent to you. Hope this clarifies. Looking forward to a favorable response from you. So I'm not against barter trades. I'm used to it. But I only take them on if and only if I'm truly interested in trying the product and reviewing it. If not, what's the point, right? So no, you cannot just give me the promise of free shit and expect me to take it. Because Ma'am, I don't know what you mean. From this, I could tell that there wasn't much like mutual respect from the beginning. I felt that it was very pushy throughout, and she gave incorrect and then deliberately vague details to get me to come on board the campaign without questions. Maybe she really didn't have the information on hand, but I feel like this is something important enough to us to find out and to also be more polite when you're telling me that you don't know. Yeah, anyway, I had a good impression of the PR company, like I still do, and I was personally like interested in the brands that they were talking about because it was like derma care. So I was like, okay, let's do it. She reached out to me on the 2nd. We sort of had this back and forth discussion, and I finally came on board the project on the 5th. She then only got back to me on 10th March, telling me to expect the products and get back to her by the end of tomorrow. So that was gonna be 11th March, and she also gave me the deadline for the draft, which is on 13th March, right? When she was speaking to me and when I had confirmed it, it was on the 5th. And if it was supposed to go live on the 16th, I give like a few days because I know that you're supposed to send in a draft. So I was like, okay, like maybe 10 days to work, like, you know, or 1 week to work, like that's good enough, right? But by the time she got back and when she expected the draft, it basically meant that I had 2 days. So actually by industry standard, anything like less than 3 days, you're supposed to charge a rush fee for it. But since we were not charging at all, that was not an option to me. And to be fair, if that was really like a rush campaign, I get it. But this is something that happens like very, very often. This is an extreme case where it became from like 10 days to 2 days. I have to play this like waiting game. I don't know anything that's going on. Clients can ghost me from a few days to 6 months. My worst one was 6 months. Can you believe it? 6 months! That particular one was horrible because I'd already submitted the draft and then they ghosted me. And then I kept asking for updates and then they wouldn't give me one, and then they said like we're still waiting for the client. 6 months 6 months, I don't know if we're cancelling or we're proceeding. I don't know anything that's going on. So I was very frustrated by that, and it happens a lot. And then in some other cases like this one, they send the product late or they get back to me late and then the deadline still remains the same. So from like this promised timeline that I was supposed to have, suddenly I have like 2 days. It's a point of frustration for me because I have other things to do and I have other projects to do, I have other deadlines to fill, and it's not fair that suddenly like your time slot, you know, you delay and you move it here and then I cannot do anything else. I know that oftentimes like it might not be their call to make, the client may be being difficult or the client may want to change a different direction. That's fine, but like I really hope if anyone is from PR watching this, that moving forward you can give us like influencers more visibility and like give us updates on what's going on. Give us a heads up or try to explain to the client that like, you know, doing this is very unethical because it's really like quite difficult on our end lah. So yeah. Anyway, back to the story. So A did not inform the courier to call, text, or notify me in any way upon delivery. And this is an explicit instruction that I always add like beneath my address because I don't have a doorbell. So to be fair, she did already have my address on file. The firm obviously like handles different brands, different accounts, and so like I guess my mailing address is already like somewhere inside there. So maybe like someone had taken it out or maybe she missed it, whatever. But when my partner and I discovered the package, it was not only left wide open with the products clearly visible, but it was also a few feet from my door and it was under direct sunlight. No name, no address, no info, no indication at all that it was meant for me. And I didn't even know how long it had been sitting there by the time I picked it up at like 5-6 p.m. And because the bag is wide open, right, I immediately noticed that it was 1/4 filled. It was just like one small little A5 kind of box, 3 sheet masks in like an A3 bag. So it looked very empty. I've received like packages from this brand before and this is very unlike them. It's very unlike the PR company. I was genuinely afraid that my neighbor had like swiped something because she's done it before. So I was like, oh my god, I better send an email for clarification, right? So I sent this email. Wait, let me look for it. Hey, I just received the package. Can I check with you what are the products you sent me? Just to check if anything's missing. The courier left it outside without notifying me and by the time I noticed and picked it up, it was half empty. Let me know, thanks. Then she replied, hi Brenda, the products you received should be 1 of this set, so that box, and then 3 of the sheet masks. Do let us know if you got everything. And then I replied, oh hey, okay, yeah, it's correct then, thanks. And then she said, hi Brenda, no worries, the products are worth more than SGD $100 in total. We look forward to receiving a draft from you. Please, you know, let us know if you have any queries. Okay. What is that comment? What is that? These products are worth more than SGD 100 in total. I didn't fucking ask? Like, why are you telling me this shit? This comment just totally rubbed me the wrong way. I didn't understand why she had to be so defensive when I was just asking for clarification. Previously also when I asked for the clarification with like the K-beauty or the derma brand like mix up, I'm just clarifying. Like, she also sounded very defensive and almost like hostile, so I just wanted to double check what I was supposed to receive, right? If you give me an assignment, I need the information to do it properly. So I don't know like if that's implying that like I'm a brat, like I'm greedy. Like, it's just so unnecessary and like frankly condescending to just tone deaf. So throughout this collaboration, I always got the impression that I was constantly at fault, that I was always irritating her with my questions. I guess she sees it as like complaining, and I just felt very uneasy about the collaboration the entire time. I regretted like saying yes the moment I did. So 2 days later, she sent me a WhatsApp message. Hi Brenda, just a gentle reminder to send me your draft for the IG post and caption. Will you be able to do so by 2:30 PM, as we'll have to send it across to client for approval, so we'll need some time. Do ensure that the logo is visible in your IG stories and post image. The post image should also feature you with the products, thank you. And then I replied, hey, can you resend the brief? I can't seem to find it anywhere. And then she sent me the brief without saying anything else, and then I said, thanks girl. I was being polite. She did not send the brief to me. I checked 3-4 times before I asked her because I knew, I was like, I better not get this wrong, because I knew she was already angry at me. She sent me 2 email threads, right? I checked them all. Every single email don't have. Few months later, right now, while I'm getting these screenshots, I checked again. Don't have. Anyone else that has access to these emails, feel free to verify. She never sent me. So I had no instructions on how to create the post, and therefore I couldn't do my job. Like, I knew the gist, but usually briefs are a lot more specific about like angles, like what you're supposed to feature, and then like captions, hashtag, tags, all that kind of thing. So assuming that I had read her message immediately when she had sent it to me, which I did, that meant that I had to set up, complete my hair, makeup, and outfit, shoot, edit, write my caption, and send it to her in a grand total of 22 minutes. That's I'm sorry, did you say yeah, 22 minutes. Sis, 22 minutes. Okay, how many times must I say minutes? And you know what the best part is? I thanked her and I did it. So here is a screenshot of the time frame. Look at that time. What does it say? It says 2:26. That's right, 4 minutes to spare, bitch, okay? The deleted message is of the story, I'll explain later. But thank goodness, because I had already dressed, I knew I was gonna shoot for this, I had set up and everything. And that's why I sent the message to her at like 2:08 PM, because I was looking for the brief like everywhere, like several times, to make sure that I really didn't have it. And being like, how can it be like I don't have the brief, right? But turns out she really never sent lah, so you know, okay, I did it, fine. No, thank you, never mind. Not like I care. And then immediately she replied with, able to Photoshop the logo onto your pic. It's a requirement from client for the IG post. Okay, and then the deleted message, it was actually the draft for the story. So she said, for the IG story, I can't view it, it's not moving. So I sent it 2 more times and I was like, is it working now? Can you view it now? Okay. And then she said, can't eh. Tried sending it to my colleague working on this account too, but she can't view the video as well. So then after that, I sent my caption, and then I was like, oh, that's so weird. Okay, do you have Telegram so I can send you through like alternative? I thought maybe like it's WhatsApp glitching. So I tried to send a few more times. Like the deleted messages that you see here are just me trying to send her the draft, and then they were still faulty, so I deleted so that she can find the correct one like easier. And yeah, I don't know what to say about this except like this was a real technical glitch, okay? And I tried to problem solve, and then it finally worked, and I really wasn't being like difficult on purpose. Why? Who does that? I said, okay, I don't know why it's doing that. And then she said, yes, this works now. She asked again, for this, could you Photoshop the logo in, please? And then I said, can I respectfully say no? It always drives engagement down and it doesn't go with my feed. I'm really sorry, but as mentioned, this is one of the must-haves as per the brief, which she sent me like 30 minutes ago. Otherwise, we can push back submission to 15 March if you're able to reshoot with the paperback. And then I said, unfortunately, I really don't have the time to reshoot. I'm so sorry about that. I understand if this post is not what the brand is looking for, but this is it. If not, I'm fine with pulling out of this campaign. The products have not been opened or used, so feel free to collect it back. Understand where you're coming from and no worries about the reshoot. We'll share this with the client first and we'll come back to you early next week if we can proceed. And then I said, thanks girl, really appreciate it. It's absolutely true. An aggressively sponsored post, even without the logo like photoshopped or like prominently displayed, will drive down engagement by up to 80 or 90%. It's very drastic, and I always try to negotiate it with like the clients or the brands because I know this is what they want, but at the same time it doesn't reflect well on me and my work when the engagement is so far below my normal. And not just the numbers, but I truly care about the engagement between my posts and my followers because my Instagram is still very personal, and I just want to establish that this is not an advertising platform. You know, I want people to look at my Instagram page and still be like, oh, okay, this is her and her life. This is not something that we agreed upon prior to me confirming to be on this campaign. She never mentioned it, and if she did, I 100% would not have agreed. There have been campaigns in the past that also asked me to do something similar or the same, and I always try to negotiate, or I just have to end up declining because this is just something that I don't do. It's nothing personal. And if she had sent me the brief any earlier, I would have been able to say no. But also, you know, when she was going at it and when I was in the middle of submitting the brief, like, I honestly was just dodging the question because she had been doing like these like sneaky little like adding on of like deadlines and giving me like increasingly specific instructions like throughout, and I really don't appreciate it, so I just try to ignore it. And I don't want to piss her off by saying no, so eventually I had to say no lah. Because of the sudden crunch, I didn't have the time to reshoot, and honestly I didn't want to make time for it either because I just wasn't feeling good about this campaign and I don't like the way that she treated me. So I offered to dissolve the collaboration and then return her the products. And from the conversation, like, it seemed like she understood where I was coming from, and then she eventually did get back to me saying that it was okay, and I proceeded to post them. So I sent that one draft that got approved for both the story and the post. So I can only assume that the comment she made about me like choosing the drafts with my eyes closed had something to do with this. Well, if you had sent me the brief more than 22 minutes before submission, I would have been able to tell you that that's not something that I do. And I don't know lah, maybe she's just like dissatisfied, and she didn't mention the logo thing, so that was part of it. So right after she approved it, she also asked if she could download and use my image, so for me to send it to her to use on like the brand's platforms. So I said, hey, sure thing, we'll post it this Friday. I charge for loading fees, so if you'd like to use my image, let me know and I'll be able to give you a code. If not, then I'll pass. Thank you and have a great week ahead. Cheers, Brenda. So then she said, hi Brenda, sure, no worries. We'll keep that in mind and inform the brand. We look forward to your posting. So loading fees, for anyone who doesn't know, is a standard billing procedure for the use of your content or your image. It's like royalties for musicians. Most, if not all, influencers charge for loading. If you want to use my image, if you want control of it to post on anywhere on your platforms, for me to endorse your product and boost sales, then you have to pay for it. Fair. Looking back, I think the keep that in mind and letting the brand know comment could possibly have implied that it's like a strike on my report card, like, you know, I'm being difficult. But honestly, I didn't care. I was just glad to be done with it. Just imagine this. You are on Carousel trying to sell a volleyball. Someone comes up to you and goes, hey, you wanna trade? I got basketball. And then you're like, okay, I mean, obviously money is better lah, but if you want to play basketball, if you want to make the trade, like, who's to say no, right? So you go, okay, whatever. Then they ask for a meetup within 30 minutes. Okay? But no. Within 22 minutes. And they give you the wrong address. So you go to the wrong address. Then they're like, oh, actually you're at the wrong place. It's actually this place. So you gotta go to this other place. And they make you spin on the spot 3 times before they come out and meet you. And at this point you're like, what? And then they come out and you can see the basketball in their hands and it's discolored. They didn't say anything about the discoloration beforehand, but they're like, take it or leave it lah. And you come all the way here already. And you're like, okay, fine, whatever, give that freaking basketball to me. And then you trade, and then you turn and you walk away. And then just as you turn away, you feel a tap on your shoulder. Hey, can you throw in a free boomerang for me? So you're like, no, sorry. And then you turn and you walk away. So now tell me how you feel if you were to reach home, go onto your page, and the first thing you see is a 1-star review of that person saying, seller was so difficult. My interaction with them was so painful. What? I know, right? Okay, thank you. Welcome, join the club, here's your membership card. It's ridiculous. If I had to like translate her sentiments on the get off her high horse and understand the reality of this industry, I'd say it's probably something like, shut up, bend over, just do my work for free because that's all you're good for and this is the reality of the industry, meaning like this is the norm. So, no place for my self-respect? Sorry, should I have checked it out at the door? I understand if you don't think I'm worth being paid extra or being paid at all for my work, but I believe that I deserve to get paid, and I have no problem letting you know that. So I find it pretty ironic that that is your reason for calling me unprofessional and difficult when I'm just doing my job. So, to summarize, A didn't know the details of her own campaign. She was disorganized, either strategically or haphazardly hid details from me, gave me increasingly specific deliverables with an extremely tight deadline, with no budget, which I still fulfilled, and then got angry at me because I wouldn't continue working for her for free. Sis, respect goes both ways. I regret the way that the campaign went down, okay? But I'm not gonna apologize because I didn't allow you to continue disrespecting me and the value of my work. I'm gonna get into the second post now. I know, bitch. Okay, ready? Fuck, let me take a break first, Jesus. I had to go and grab a charger for my phone because this is so juicy that my phone is going out of juice. I've worked with wordweed before for 2 paid static posts. Personally, didn't have a good impression of her and definitely won't want to work with her again because of the 3 reasons. This person, I'll refer to her as B. She wrote these points out like one by one, so I'm gonna address them one by one. She kept giving a lot of excuses when we follow up with her for the submission, like her being sick for being out the whole day. The submission dates were given 2 to 3 weeks in advance together with the products A. How come out of all the other influencers we engaged for the same campaign, only she gave excuses leh? Plus, when we give timelines, we always check to see if influencers okay with it or not. So we have to wait for her and push back the live dates. Okay? Here is our conversation over WhatsApp. Hey Brenda, can we look at having the draft in on 26th? I said I'll try, but I'll probably only be able to submit it in the evening. She said, okay, do submit by evening so that they have time on 27th to look through. Client is occupied the following week for warehouse stock takes, so 26 works best for them. I said, okay, sure. So as you can see in the timestamps, I was given 6 days, not 2 to 3 weeks like what she said, for the first part of the draft. And if you're wondering, okay lah, then she gave you 2 to 3 weeks for the second one, that one was on time. Alright? Okay, back off. This collaboration was like a 2-parter thing, so you try it and then you post about it, and then 1 month later you review it and then you post about it again. So to be fair, okay, 6 days is a reasonable amount of time. It's a holiday compared to 22 minutes. But I don't think that this should count as an excuse because I'm just letting you know beforehand, you know, when I can deliver it. And she said, you know, we usually let the influencers see if they can deliver it. And I already said, it's a little tight. I might not be able to fulfill it. Okay, see ya. We're now on 23rd December. Okay, I said chef's kiss because I was like really enjoying the products. And then she said, I'm glad you like it. We'll definitely let the client know. Then, hey Brenda, gentle reminder to send us your draft for today. It was actually due yesterday. Do send over soonest. I saw this like 1.5 hours later, so I said, hey, sorry I missed your message. We'll send it your way tomorrow. She said, possible to send by 12 p.m. tomorrow? Then I said, 3 p.m? Sorry, I'm fighting a really bad headache and I haven't been able to do any work. So I also don't know where she got that from being out all day. I didn't say anything like that, okay? But maybe I was out all day, I don't know. Okay. Hope you're feeling better. Can we get your draft, please? So I said, hey, I'm so sorry for the delay, but can I send it first thing Monday morning? I'll have friends over who can help me get a much better shot. And then she said, the draft was due on 26th though. Can we clear the caption at least? And I said, sure, I'll send over the caption in a bit. And then I also said, I know, so sorry about that. She said, the client will be busy starting next week as they are busy with their stock takes and all. Would be better if you could send over soonest. So yes, this was my fault entirely. You have clients to answer to and I understand, and I did not expect to fall sick, so I'm very, very sorry. I usually, because of all these like back-to-back campaigns, I usually leave them to like 1 day before or 2 days before just to ensure that I remember to send it like the next day. And it might be bad time management. I try not to do that now, but at that point, like December was really, really busy, so that was something that I had to do. Bad planning on my part, and I apologize for my moment of tardiness. Maybe this is something that they get a lot, but it wasn't an excuse. I was very overworked in December, and usually like stress and sickness is quite like synonymous to me, so I don't know, like if your colleague or like a teammate were to fall sick, would you like go around behind people's backs and be like, what, this idiot fell sick like just before the project deadline? It was so irritating, so irresponsible, never work with them again. Like how could you do that? Like, and I mean, yeah, she asked if I was feeling better, but I don't know if she really meant it. Clearly, I don't think she did because she said I was making an excuse, so I I don't know, like, should I have sent in an MC instead? Like, I'm doing work for you, yes, but I'm also a regular person. I fall sick. I'm just trying to do my job. Sometimes there are days I cannot do my job. And I did what I could, okay? So I sent in the captions. I don't know if you can see. And then I know I mentioned this before, but I don't work Sundays, but I just felt so bad that, like, the moment I felt better, then I just sent the draft over and everything on Sunday. So that's a total of 3 late days from the date of submission. And I want to make it clear to everyone that this never happened again. I felt so bad about it that I was like so kancheong. I was like very desperate to prove myself, right? So I actually sent in like a few days before the second deadline. Yeah, so excuses? Okay, the bit about waiting for me to push back the live dates. Okay, maybe they did. I don't know what's on that end. Maybe the client really did. And if so, yeah, I apologize. They only sent me the approval to post it 7 days later. And the live date that was supposed to go on was another 7 days later. So that date was chosen for me. I didn't get to decide it. Okay, point 2. Her copy she gave was so off from the brief, so we needed everyone to include some pointers like the texture, smell, differences after using it, and etc. Nothing too difficult or different, right? But she ended up only writing, "Ooh, it's so good, smells so great." Huh? Can meh? Like lol. I'm just gonna leave this here. Ooh, it's so good. Smells so great. I cannot. I'm sorry. I wrote a dissertation, okay? And this is the second draft. Okay, I have a feeling it's probably this sentence that's very problematic. I think I didn't check properly, like I rephrased it and then it went funny. So the superfood nutrients are really doing something to do it, man. I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry, that was my bad. Okay, I never double checked. But what she said was greatly exaggerated. Yes, I speak candidly, you know, okay? I'm a little quirky, but I know how to do my job. Like, how I speak is a part of my brand. Like, you ought to know that when you work with me, right? And obviously, I will do my job properly and I wouldn't send in something that I obviously know doesn't fit the brief. Done? Okay, this end of discussion. Okay, number 3. Reshoot of image. This really bothered me a lot too. So we requested to reshoot or to resubmit with different angles cause the first image obviously not good enough. She ended up not reshoot but resubmitting worse images of herself during the same shoot in different angles of her. Why I said worse? Because in those new images, her eyes were half closed or the product names were not seen clearly. Can meh like that? Ended up, we have to bo pian use the first image because we already pushed back the campaign live dates once because of her. Therefore, I want to say I cannot relate to all of the good reviews of her, so sorry man. Wow, what she failed to mention was the reason for the reshoot. Hi Brenda, hope you had a great CNY. I did, thank you. The client has gotten back to us with the feedback regarding the second post image you provided and it was not approved. Do you have other options for the image? Do let us know. Thank you. The client mentioned that in the image you appear to be rather tired, lacking in energy, thus they would like to change the image. Regarding the caption, okay, these are like valid points, right? Choice of words not appropriate, I understand. Too general and lacking in a personal touch. Could you also add in another part about something specific? So I was like, okay, constructive things, I can do that, sure. But tired, lacking in energy? So I was like, hey, I don't have an alternative, they're all of the same setup. I'm confused. How do I look tired? And then she said, probably the eyes. Can you share the alternative with the same setup? Okay, so note, there was no request for a reshoot. No problem with the setup. Just my face. She also specifically asked to see alternatives with the same setup. And you cannot scold me for doing exactly what you asked me to do, okay? And I sent the previous photo that I sent and I was like, this image? Rather tired, lacking energy, like this image? And then I was like, okay, I'll look for alternatives, we'll get back to you. And then she said, yes, this one. Then I was like, okay, so I sent alternatives and then I said these are the only alternatives I have. Unedited, let me know if any of them works because I'm not gonna take the time to edit it if you don't approve lah, you know? So I was like, okay. So then she was like, okay, we'll ask the client if these options are better. Could you also share with us your revised caption by tomorrow evening? I said, sure. Okay. I know I said I wasn't gonna show anything identifying, but I have to show you the photo. You're curious, right? You're like, what is this photo? Like, I also want to see. I want to be the judge. So are you ready? I'm gonna block like the brand and everything. Like, ready? 3, 2, 1. Ta-da! I'm actually quite curious. I want to know. Like, really, comment below and tell me like if you can see what they're talking about because I've sent this to like all of my friends. Okay, not all of my friends. I mean like 4 of my friends. And they all don't know what they mean. Like, I don't know how to change it, right? Like, what is tired, lacking in energy? What, my eyes? My soul is dead? Like, I don't know. Okay, so approve already, right? Okay, then they proceed to say this. They are not very happy with it though, because they feel that you're very tired looking. It's still the best shot out of all. I honestly don't see it leh. Like, is it the eyes? Because you know they said the eyes. I was like, is it the eyes? I don't know. I can lighten them a bit if that helps, okay? And then to the best shot out of all, I was like, yeah, I agree. That's why I sent it. So she said it might be, but don't worry. I'll explain to them that it's on brief also. Maybe you can try lightening and we can check with them. Tired looking? Lacking in energy? What's constructive about that comment? Like, what can I possibly take from this comment and objectively work on? And if I don't understand, I don't see what you're talking about, is it really that unprofessional to ask you what it means and how I can fix it? That doesn't even warrant a reshoot. I'm just looking at it like, because like she said, I fulfilled the brief. This was supposed to be a sponsored post for a hair care line, which I love and I still use like today. My hair looks great in that photo. Come on, y'all cannot deny. My hair looks fucking fabulous. So how can you tell me to change the entire image and reshoot just because my eyes are like off, tired looking, lacking in energy? Are they small? Are you just trying to tell me they're small? Like, I don't know what you want me to do. I already had double eyelid surgery. There's not much else I can do. So after days and frankly months now that, you know, I'm back staring at it again, of like really looking at it and wondering what they possibly want from me, I finally figured it out. I finally know what they're talking about and I know the reason for it. I just so happen not to be wearing any black liquid eyeliner. I think I was wearing like a very light like brown liquid eyeliner or like brown eyeshadow, so I guess that K-beauty makeup lifestyle is not for me, sis. So yeah, that's the only thing that I can think of. But dang, the way that they make it sound over the post, like, sis, like, you think I don't care about the quality of my content or my face? So anyway, yeah, I really sent them like more alternatives of the same setup, and these are obviously photos that I didn't choose. Like, even though I shortlisted, I went with the best one, because why wouldn't I send the best one the first time I sent in a draft, right? I was like, okay, if I don't see this thing that you guys are seeing, maybe, I don't know, you'll prefer something that I don't prefer. So I just sent in these alternatives, like hopefully preventing a reshoot. And like, I understand that you have to convey like your clients like wishes and stuff, but tired, lacking in energy, I still, like, till today, that's the most bizarre comment I've ever gotten. Okay, if the background is busy, if there's something in frame that you don't like, you can let me know. But my eyes, bro, what am I supposed to do? Wear sunglasses? And plot twist. Ooh, something happened again that wasn't mentioned in the post again. Can you possibly guess what that is? I was asked to provide value-added content for free outside of the deliverables, not once, not twice, but sis, they asked me 3 times. Okay, the first time. Hi Brenda, the products are on the way over. Would be good if you could throw in a value add story. Something along the lines of received this from da-da-da and can't wait to try. If you do, kindly post after 23rd December. To this one, I didn't reply. Honestly, if she didn't explicitly ask me, I probably would have done it. And if I didn't do it, it was because I was probably too busy. Like, I'm not willfully not posting about it. But to me, there's a clear difference between being commissioned or told to do something, especially with deadlines, and doing something of my own accord. I keep a very clear difference between these two, and I'll explain why later. So the second time, hi Brenda, the brand is planning to celebrate globally on 15th Jan and was wondering if it's possible to share your image on their IG story with your original caption without the portion. Let me know if you're good with it. If so, we will need the high-res version of you either from file on Telegram or WeTransfer. So I replied, hey, loading fees of 50% of the rate will apply for this. Let me know if you're still keen. This is standard, again, normal. It's a pretty straightforward post, something like this. And they had sent me another influencer's photos, and throughout this entire collaboration, they kept sending me like this particular influencer's photos. Maybe it's very good, like, okay, fair. There was one time they sent it to me because I was like asking them like, what does the brief look like? Like, is it a flat lay or what? But you know, they were like, okay, it's with the person and the stuff and the prop. And then they showed the example and I was like, oh, okay. But the other times, like, I know what it means, a high-res version of myself, I understand. She said, it's not boosted as ad as well, so loading shouldn't apply for this. So I replied, hey, I've checked with my manager on this. If the post is shared from my post and posted on their stories, then no loading is due. But if I'm sending you a high-res photo to post, then yes, loading is due. Then she replied, we'll inform the client that a fee is required from them. They're actually looking to work long term, so possible to not include digital loading, it'll be much better. So I said, if they repost the post after I've posted it, then they won't have to pay loading. And then they ignored me. So trying to explain to me why I shouldn't be charging for my content, like lecturing me, is kind of inappropriate. And then there it is again. The whole strike on your record will let the client know this is something that they will bear in mind moving forward. So it's the same thing happening as post A, right? And it's true that I checked with my manager. I wasn't lying about that shit. I have a manager. I like to deal with my own like brand deals and my campaigns because I like to have the one-to-one knowledge. But when it comes to stuff like this, like obviously I have to check with him. So I'll send him screenshots of the convo above, okay? And then I was like, loading, yes or no? Okay, yes, right? But okay, I don't want to sway you. And then he said, if it's just on your account, you don't need loading. Then I said, they want to post on their stories, on their IG story. Then he was like, okay, then of course need. Moment not on your account, then it's not under your control. Then I was like, right. They're like guilt tripping and strong arming me into waiving it. And then after that, I sent the screenshot. And then he was like, long term because they can use your content without paying. And I was like, exactly. So you can tell that both my But yeah, you can tell that both my manager and I like weren't happy about this. Like, I don't like to be made to feel bad for just doing my job. Like, it just seems very ridiculous to me. Like, respect is a big deal for me, and I feel like it wasn't present in both of these collaborations, okay? So when it happened the third time, I was like, cannot tahan, I have to say something, right? Hi Brenda, will you be able to do a value add IG story for your post? We hope to drive more engagement towards the post. And then I said, I charge extra for that. Let me know if you're keen. And then she sent me something and she deleted it. You see that? Okay, so she actually sent the original like text and I actually saw it. And then she deleted it. I think she read it and then she realized like, okay, that's not very PR of her, and then she had to reframe it because the first message sounded like she was lecturing me about like why I shouldn't charge for it, and then I could tell that she was getting very impatient with me, so she reframed it and she said, we'd appreciate it if you could just do an IG story to link to your post out of goodwill. It won't have to be vetted and no obligations. We just hope to encourage more of your followers to participate. Because I saw the first message and I was like, you asked so many times, so I just replied and I said, hey, with all due respect, I will not comply with last minute requests to add certain deliverables without due additional fees. It's not the first time it's happened, so I hope it's clear that I will only provide deliverables agreed upon for the campaign. It is solely at my discretion if I decide to post extra. Thanks. Cheers, mate. Okay, I didn't say cheers, mate. I don't know, I had to say something. Sis had to snap, okay? So someone else that I had never spoken to actually jumped in and said, hey Brenda, thank you for flagging this out. I think she just wanted to ask if you'd be keen on this. If not, we can pass on this. No worries at all. But all the value adds will help us speak to the clients should they shortlist the influencers for their next campaign. So we're trying to push your profile also. Hope you understand. Thank you for raising this up. We'll take note for this. And I was like, a bit fierce, okay? I said, I understand and I appreciate the sentiment, but I am quite firm on my deliverables and I'm sure the engagement will not be lacking. Should they decide not to work with me again, then that's just a decision they'll make. I'm okay with it. And then she said, got it. So someone new actually had to step in and diffuse the situation. And you know what? She was very professional, okay? She gave me their perspective and then she respected my decision when I said no again. So plus point for her, I feel like, well done, that was really great. And I'm sorry if you think I'm a hard ass. I just don't sit well with the air of entitlement around this. Like requests for free content, especially when they're like spontaneous or like sneaky, if you want to think about it that way, outside of what we've agreed upon, happens so often. In the past, when I have said yes, because I'm like, okay, I mean, this is like easy for me to do, I can just repost whatever, it opens the door to this like perpetual habit of asking me to give more and more free content without paying for it. And this is obviously detrimental to me because I'm a content creator and this is my job. That's how I make a living. So learning from my past mistakes, I now establish very clear boundaries and I don't budge. I'm very, very firm and I know exactly where the line is, even if it's just a story. If you wanted extra stories like peppered throughout this campaign, like you should have told me before we agreed on the deliverables so that we could have worked something out. The rates won't be that high anyway, and if you already are paying me for added deliverables, like sometimes I give like complimentary, sometimes I really charge super low. So this would have worked out fine. Same for the collaboration with A, same with any other collaborations. If you didn't tell me this beforehand, then you cannot get angry when I say no, right? Bro, that's just how I do my job and how I protect myself. So this is the invisible common thread running between both collaborations. Both A and B have asked me multiple times to produce content or produce extra content for them for free. In both of these cases, I've pushed back and I've said no thank you. Both of them have also implied that because I said no to this, I won't be favoured for future collaborations and like opportunities. And most importantly, both of them took to an online platform where it's completely public, where it's meant for people in this industry to complain about me without mentioning something that is so clearly a catalyst for why the collaboration went sour, why it was less than ideal, right? Why? My biggest guess, and I guess like my hope, is that they also secretly deep down understand that this is unfair. If we have agreed on deliverables and if you're paying me by my rates, then yes, okay, yeah, I'm expected to deliver a certain standard and I will. But it's unfair, like to insist on influencers giving them content and working for them for free. And it's straight up inappropriate to get angry and upset and like not recommend them, defame. I don't know if defame is the right word for this, but okay, badmouth, okay? Badmouth them for not doing that. They have the right to say no. I have the right to say no. Content is digital, right? So I understand why some people are unable to place like a true monetary value on it. It's relatively new. Anyone can access social media. Anyone can post a picture online. I'm sure some of y'all are still thinking, what the? It's just a story, just fucking post it lah. I also can post a story, it's free, what? First of all, if an average consumer decides to post something, they are doing it of their own accord. No company is asking them to post. Unless it's some kind of promotion, they want to get the promotion, they will post on their own accord, right? This is not the same as someone who is told to do it professionally, especially for someone who has a big reach. So can you imagine like asking Kylie Jenner to give you a birthday shout out because it's your birthday and then getting angry because she didn't reply? Like that's very entitled and that's unrealistic. So that's the point I'm trying to make. Just because I love my job doesn't mean that I can do my job for free. PR campaigns and posts and even like media kits, like stuff being sent my way, is 100% a business transaction. If I had 0 followers, I wouldn't have any of these opportunities. You are hiring me, giving me an assignment, and I'm producing content, following timelines and leveraging on my ability to reach an audience, to endorse your product or to boost your sales or to talk about your service or product. So my process of creating content with deadlines, with negotiations, with rounds of approval, with quality control, and then with scheduled live posts are not the same as you taking a story of your lunch that day. It takes up time, it takes up effort. There's also this thing called opportunity cost, which means that if I work with this brand, if I spend one afternoon shooting the product, I cannot spend that same time doing something else. If I am sponsored for this video, for example, and I say a sponsor, I cannot be sponsored by anyone else. Especially at a time like this where a lot of different brands come onto social media and there are a lot of requests for exclusivity. So, okay, like now that you're working with us, like don't mention any of our competitors, like don't endorse or show any other brands. And this is tough because it essentially cuts me off from doing any other work. So this was the case for this collaboration B. For the time of the 2 months that we were working together, I wasn't allowed to take or even feature any other hair care product. And during this time, I also had to decline about 2 or 3 different opportunities from different hair care brands. Paid ones, for videos. And that's what earns me the most money. And plus, I'm constantly exposing my audience, my following, to a reach of different products. It's just not fair if I'm constantly like producing content and I'm constantly featuring it and driving your sales, but I'm not getting paid for it. If I really want to, if I really like it and I think my audience will enjoy it, I will post. But if this is compulsory, that's why there is that line. I hope that makes sense. Okay, I know most people working in PR will understand what I'm trying to say. Clearly, there is a value in what I can provide. If not, let's be honest, like you wouldn't be sending me these things, we wouldn't have these campaigns, and I honestly wouldn't have the job that I do. So no, I cannot afford to work for free to have the possibility and the opportunity to work again, possibly also for free. Everyone at their jobs paid a salary, right? It's fixed. If you want to OT, you can ask for more pay. That's not being money-minded. You just understand that you are a professional and this is your job and they are hiring you to do something. There's a saying that you don't pay the designer for the 5 minutes they spent working on like a logo, for example, but you are paying for the 500 hours that they have spent honing their craft so that they are able to create this logo in 5 minutes. I know I'm not huge, but I have worked for years as a content creator to build up my credibility, to build up the following that I have now. And I plan to continue doing this for a very long time. So if you want to leverage on that, my content, my brand, my image, to promote your product, then I don't see why I shouldn't be reasonably paid for it. Like, you're receiving a salary. The company that you work for isn't like handling all of these accounts and managing these brands for free. Like, clearly everyone is getting paid. So why don't I deserve to get paid? I'm not saying that you cannot ask. It's okay to ask nicely. I mean, I prefer if you didn't, but if you have to, I understand. But you cannot keep pushing if I say no. You have to respect that you cannot find ways to guilt trip me into doing it. I just won't. If I want to promote something, if I want to talk about something, I will naturally. That's what I do. I overshare online. It's solely at my discretion because I own my content and I'm responsible for every single thing that goes up. And as much as I know I seem like I don't give a shit about anything, like, people like that I'm personal, people like that I put a lot of thought into my own things and that I don't try to pretend, to glam things up when it's not. And that is a reflection of me and my brand. Okay, yeah, maybe I am one of the very few people that truly think this way and would actually refuse. And maybe that's why like A and B thought that I was difficult. But I feel very strongly about this. I'm very firm on this. So I hope that anyone who works with me now and in the future can respect that. Yeah, so anyway, looking at both of these collaborations, do I regret it? For A, yes, definitely. For B, I regret the way that it turned out. Both of us were at fault, so we definitely could have done better, but it's just really disappointing. If you personally can't stand me, you don't like my content, you don't like my personality, you want to complain about me, go ahead. You can do that. But to do that in a professional capacity, like to talk poorly about me and my performance, to jeopardize like my credibility, my trust, or like my reputation, I just think it's not fair, especially when it's lies. Everyone is entitled to their opinion, but don't lie. Like, why would you lie about these things? I am petty enough to come up here and show you all of the receipts and call you out on it. It's just a really awkward time. I mean, it's funny now, but honestly, it's irresponsible. I don't think it's very professional, and above all, it's just very disrespectful. So I don't know, I don't want to hold any grudges. Obviously, like, we work in such close proximity. Why would you risk your professionalism to say something like that when you know that that's not the truth? I'm just thinking, like, what if a higher up or like a client specifically asked to work with me when they've already said they'll definitely like not want to work with me ever again? And I just find it quite ironic because like in the digging of these like conversations, email threads and stuff, I noticed that both of them have already corresponded with me over email or text to work on future things. Now, I'll be the first person to say like it's not easy, I'm working hard to film, to set up, like these lights don't set up themselves, to produce, to design, to shoot, to create all of the content, to handle, to negotiate, and to fulfill all of the campaigns that are going on. And I'm running my side business like Go Margo. I don't have a team behind me. I don't even have an editor, okay? I can't afford one, so that's why I'm asking you guys, please pay me so that I can eventually afford one. I do all of that and more ad hoc, the front and the back end work all by myself. So the other day, right, Mavis like tweeted me something and she was like, "This is you." And then I was like, click. Yep, that's me. Every influencer like has their own thing and does their own thing. We all come from like different situations, we have different work ethics, and we just operate differently. And y'all know me. My focus is not primarily on creating beautiful images, so I know that that's where I have room for improvement. I know they can definitely be more polished and I want to work on it. And also I want to work on managing my time better. So to all of the PR and like influencers working out there, I hope that you guys won't just take this as like a funny story time or like a piece of gossip and really like think about how, this sounds so lame lah, but I think about how we can like improve our like communications in the future. Like the stuff that I pointed out, something to bear in mind moving forward. The extra tight deadlines, the expectation to work for free, gaps in communication, and just the general sense of like mutual respect. I want to say that these incidents don't happen all the time, but they're common enough for me to bring them up. And I'm glad that I am, because it just causes a lot of like unnecessary like frustration and tension like on both sides. And I know that on the other side, like the PR side, they get angry because like a lot of influencers are either late in submissions, they're not responsive, or they might be like very demanding or very like stuck up. So yeah, I understand that there are issues on both sides. I just hope that people realize that we're all just doing our jobs, so let's just like treat each other nicely, like decently, with respect. I've met like hundreds of people who are chill, cool as shit from both sides that have been nothing but pleasant and professional like throughout all of our collaborations that I'll happily work with again. I'm genuinely very thankful to have these like good interactions. I've had some really good ones, and those are the memorable ones because like they help bolster the bad ones. And if we haven't worked before, then I look forward to it. I hope that you will extend me the same courtesy that I will extend to you in terms of like professionalism and respect. Okay, with regards to the platform itself, I have nothing against it. Truly. It kind of reminds me of, last time, a few years back on Facebook, we had like school confession pages and stuff. To me, it's completely understandable lah. Like people want to come together to talk about shared experiences, people want to warn people from different things, people want to hype up other people. They're like positive stuff too. And other people who are not like privy to this industry finally get a glimpse on what happens like behind the scenes. It's a notoriously like opaque industry, so people obviously they want to get into it. As of filming this today, it's Thursday, I also saw a couple of the admins like posts on like guidelines on what you should submit, like don't submit defamatory things. I think they kind of had to be honest, because things got a little out of hand. Some people thought it's a little mean, it's a bit like bullying, and then some people were like, no, it's completely fine. So I think they were like trying to sort of navigate that, and just I swear lord that I was one of like the earliest people to be in this discussion, to be on the platform, and my name wasn't censored very well, and these posts were obviously like very negative. So yeah, I mean, I saw the positive ones too. Oh my god, shout out to y'all if y'all wrote like the positives. I'm not gonna lie, I was very touched, and I saw it when I really needed it lah, because you know all of these things I felt very yuan wang, right? So I was like, thank you so much. Above all, a lot of people have also said that they're happy that this platform exists because there was no platform previously to talk about things in this industry. And I'm also glad because I'm making this video to clear the air, and I can also bring up like certain things that I experience as a content creator on my end. So I like that we're starting conversations. I like these discussions. Like we should keep it going. I just think it's important for all of us to remember that this is a mouthpiece for opinions of people on the internet posted anonymously and not an authority on this industry. Anyone can submit anything. You can send in the truth, you can send in a bit of bias, you can send in a bit of exaggeration, you can send in straight up lies. You know, there are no consequences because you're anonymous. And of course, there's gonna be a thrill of like sending it in knowing that a lot of people will read it. And as much as the admins are trying to vet everything, first of all, they can't change. I don't think they're changing like the wording of these different posts. And at the end of the day, there's still just individuals with their own opinions as well. So like, I think we can all just enjoy the platform but not take it like so seriously. Like don't be so quick to judge and define someone based on a bad experience, you know, because someone might be having an off day. You never know the full story. I'm a good example of that. Okay, so yeah, I think I've said my piece. If you watched all the way to this point, thank you so much. Thank you so much for like giving me your time to explain myself and to also bring up like these things that I feel need to be brought up in the industry. And I hope that you really will respect my wishes. Please don't stir shit. Don't try to send hate. Don't try to find out who is what. Okay, let's not do that. That's not what I want to do. I'm just protecting myself. I'm just defending my credibility. Like I just wanted to speak my truth because Your Honor, I'm innocent. I take a lot of pride in my work. Like I care about what I do so much. And I have been working very hard to maintain like a good work ethic. So my credibility and the trust that you put in me, whether you are someone working in PR or you are my follower, my audience, is something that matters a lot to me. Yeah, well, thank you for hearing my side of the story. I hope you also get like insights on how the industry works, what are some problems that both sides have to face. If you like this video, if you want to see more, if you want me to talk about stuff like this in the industry more, like feel free to let me know, comment below, and comment your comments. Like feel free to really like comment below and share with me your opinion. I will not dox anyone for their opinion, even if you think I'm wrong. I just genuinely like want to know what's the consensus out there. So if you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Alright, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe down below. Yeah, do it. Okay, I'm just like so awkward now. It's like 3 AM. Let me know you like it. Let me know you want more. I can tell from the number of thumbs ups. I make new videos every week, so don't forget to also turn on your notifications so you get my videos hot off the press. And I will see you guys next week. Hopefully not from the bed. I've like been very comfortable here these past 2 weeks. Jesus. Alright, bye bye.